Welcome to CEO Insights. I'm Marilyn de Guzman with investingnews.com. Australia based Energy Technologies is ramping up its strategy to capitalize on the growing renewable energy sector. Joining me now to discuss their vision is the company's CEO, Nick Cousins. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Marilyn. How are you?
Good. So maybe let's begin our conversation with an overview of the company. What are the key things you'd like investors to know about energy technologies?
Yeah, sure. So Energy Technologies is the 100% owner of Bambac Wires and Cables, which is a low voltage electrical cable manufacturer. Now, Energy Technologies and Bambac is not new. We've been on the stock exchange for many years now. And I guess fundamentally what the message we're trying to get across is you're looking at what is essentially a new business now. We've drastically pivoted our strategy into, as you pointed out earlier, the renewables energy sector, as well as some other strategic industries with significant tailwinds behind them in Australia.
Great. So let's talk about the renewable energy technologies that are, increasingly being adopted. And as they continue to grow, what's your strategy to capitalize on this growth? What sets you apart from other cable wire manufacturers and distributors?
Yeah, look, it's a great question, and what we've done was about 18 months ago. We commenced a strategic review of the business. Now, being a cable manufacturer is basically a me too. There's many other manufacturers, and we're facing increased global competition in the Australian market, given the high cost of labour here. And we certainly didn't see a lack of activity. However, we were seeing a lack of ability to convert. So we went out far and wide and started looking throughout the globe for what would strategically fit our business. And we have come across a business over in Germany called Gantner Instruments. Now, they're a market leader in control and automation of utility scale PV plants. We thought this would be a perfect synergy, that the cable manufacturers partnering up with the essentially what the cables are plugging into to run these plants, and then presenting a one-stop solution to the market. Further to that, we needed to expand our portfolio. We're limited in terms of what we can manufacture at our site here in Rosedale. And we went out again and found a company based in London with factories throughout Italy, which is the Tritos Group, which allows us to complete the product offering into this market. Typically, we were capped out at a number of sizes of cables we could produce, as well as moving into the medium and high voltage, which you would typically find in the utility scale market. So now that we've signed these distribution agreements, we have essentially what is a one-stop solution for these large EPC firms and contractors that are delivering these large-scale projects. So to touch on your question about what sets us apart, to my knowledge, there is no other cable manufacturer in the Australian market, at least, that's offering a one-stop solution into the utility scale market for solar. So what can take place now is an EPC firm, a contracting firm, can come to Bambac or Energy Technologies. We can bid the entire project basically from the panels. We don't do solar panels, but from panels through to grid connection or upstream, along with all the monitoring and control hardware, the software, the power plant controllers, all of the leads and ancillary devices that go along with it, which has proven to be quite an attractive proposition. We've seen a significant uptick in the activity once it's taken a while to get the message out there as to what we're doing and what we now offer. However, in the past sort of 8 to 10 weeks, we've seen multiple millions of requests for quotes come across our desk. So the early feedback is it's being received very well, and we look forward to converting our first one and really shifting into this more tailored strategy, whereby we're not just being all things to all people. We're really focusing on what has the strategic tailwinds behind it in this market.
Right. And in addition to Gantner and those two companies that you've had agreements with, you're also forging agreements with other companies, manufacturing companies, I understand, in other parts of the world. Could you talk a bit more about that? And how do these agreements serve your long-term goals?
Yeah, so I think it's important we take a step back there if we're going to go down that path. It's in our strategic review of the business, we essentially what washed out of it at the end was we needed to split the business into three categories. There was the manufactured sales, which we will continue to do and offer into the market. There's the distribution agreements, which we've just touched on, being the Gantner product and the Tritos group. And then there's what we're classifying as purchase sales. Now, the reason we've established a purchase sales division was we're going to guard and protect our margins very, very closely. And what that means is we've set thresholds as to what our minimum margin that we can manufacture in our plant is. Anything below that, we're not going to turn away from. However, we would push that out into our global network and look for those partners that can offer that product at that price point. And ultimately what this is doing is just protecting the cash flow and allowing the business to continue further and further without the reliance on, as most manufacturers do, they focus on all the machines running at all times to keep the recovery up. The focus for us now is the right margins and the right contribution back to the business, and the lull in the factory, if you like, is then supported by the distribution agreements and the purchase sales. So we've spent many years sourcing cable globally, and we've got a number of strong relations with very reputable manufacturers. We've got in-house technical and engineering departments which have thoroughly vetted these other manufacturers. So it's with the utmost confidence that we can continue to offer this product into the market.
So, what are some of the upcoming catalysts that we can expect from the company?
Look, I think overarching is the energy transition in Australia. There's an enormous amount of activity in this space at the moment, albeit very early days. We're certainly seeing a lot of private sector move into building their own PV farms. And just to qualify that, we're seeing a lot of mining companies that aren't waiting for the government to make the decision with the investment. They're getting on it already, and they're building their own solar farms. I think once we get some clarity as to the direction that the government wishes to take with their clean energy targets, we'll certainly see that being the overarching catalyst and the real trajectory that we'll see for the next at least 5 to 10 years. And beyond that, then it leads into the energy transition. So you build the solar farms, you need to transmit that electricity. So we're talking about transmission lines, overhead and underground, all the battery storage and everything else that goes along with it. So I think we're really in the infancy of developing this at the moment as a nation. However, we're getting to the point where it will start to really grow some legs and take off.
I wonder if you could provide your thoughts, like what are one of your, I guess, main raw material is copper for your products. Could you maybe talk about, the sourcing side of things? Like what are you seeing in terms of the supply of copper? Because in addition to cable, it's copper is also other applications in a number of industries. What
Yeah.
are you seeing in the strategy for sourcing that raw material for your company?
Look, I could talk all day about copper, Maryland. It's of great concern to me, in particular as a manufacturer. It's a very scarce commodity in Australia. We only have one copper smelting company that can convert cathode to the raw material. We are strategically partnered with them. We have additional relationships with Southeast Asian producers. All of these guys are significant producers, so multiple thousands of tons per week is their capability. Moving forward, I guess the concerns there really are on a global front, that the more countries and nations that adopt this energy transition and the move to clean energy, the demand will increase for copper. And it's certainly, it's a question I don't have an answer for at the moment. I guess Australia is quite lucky in many aspects that a significant amount of copper cathode is mined within Australia. I urge government to invest in additional conversion plants within our own nation for many reasons. I mean, it's not only the energy transition, it's the defence and the sovereignty of our nation. So, look, we're comfortable in where we sit with our long-term forecasts and agreements we have in place with copper manufacturers. But it's certainly something that we're keeping our eye very closely on as the risk increases as we move forward.
Right. So thanks again, Nick, for taking the time and sharing your insights with me today.
No worries. Thanks very much, Marilyn.
And thanks everyone for watching. Join us again next time for another edition of CEO Insights.
If you like this video, like or leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more exclusive interviews and updates.